The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Talking politics with Russell Norman.
Co-leader of the Greens, Mr. Russell Norman. Good morning, Russell.
Morning, Wammo. How you going?
Good. Now, you're a little bit unhappy about a cell phone tower going into your neighbourhood.
Yeah, up the hill in Tycoon, Wellington, Vodafone are trying to put a cell phone tower in amongst the houses and next to the school.
What's wrong with that?
Well, the evidence around the health effects of chronic exposure to the non-ionising radiation that comes off cell phone towers is still out. It's a little bit mixed, so I just think we should take a precautionary approach to it.
But what else are kids there for? You know, if they're not there to experiment on, what use are they?
Yeah, well, arguably, we're engaged in a massive experiment, actually, when you think of cell phone towers and also wireless networks, which kind of, every time you turn on your laptop, there's a number of them in the vicinity. So I think, might all turn out to be absolutely fine. Who knows? We're going to find out, I guess.
But people want good coverage, Russell. People are sick of, especially Vodafone, people are sick of dead patches, calls breaking out. We just want good coverage.
Well, surely the local residents should have the right to say no if they don't want a cell phone tower stuck next to their kid's bedroom. I mean, the last government passed through these regulations that basically mean that cell phone companies are allowed to put these towers up on top of lampposts on the road reserve without getting any consent from the council or anyone else. So if you've got a power pole a metre away from your kid's bedroom, they can come along and stick a cell mast on it.
Where can we stick them then?
Well, the thing is to get them further away from people. So, finding places where they're more from houses and from schools is really what it's what they're doing overseas.
Someone else's backyard then?
No one's backyard. Just get it further away, because basically the amount of energy in the radiation exponentially declines as you get further away from it. So just getting them away from people is the best way to reduce any risk that there might be.
Well, I mean, why is the research still so? I mean, do you understand the science? Why is it still so inconclusive when it comes to radiation?
Well, all the original work was done looking at the impacts in terms of thermal impacts. So if you expose a body to, radio frequency waves or microwaves, like I'm doing at the moment with this cell phone next to my head, what it does is it warms the tissue up. And so the original research looked at what would be the impact of that thermal effect, the warming. And basically it said it's pretty negligible or zero, really, a very marginal effect.
Okay.
So the research since then has been focusing on the non-thermal effects and whether there's other impacts as a result of this kind of non-ionising radiation.
Of course, because we could find out that our Wi-Fi routers that are all around us these days cause similar issues.
Yeah, I mean, the probability is low. When you look at the evidence, the scientists are saying, look, we think that, the probability is low, but you can't rule it out. We're not sure. We're not 100% sure. And so it seems to me a precautionary approach is to put them further away from people. I mean, in France, there's just been some court cases where people have got them removed and put further away on the basis that the risk is there's a small unknown risk. And so why should people have to wear that risk who are living near the thing? So push them further away from people.
What happens if the majority of scientists come out and say that there is no risk? A 95% probability of no risk.
Well, a precautionary approach says, look, if there's some risk, then take an approach which protects human health if it turns out that risk is accurate, even if it's a small probability of being true. So with cell phone towers, that means don't put them 1 metre away from people's bedrooms, as they're allowed to do now, but put them further away as you can. That's just a basic precautionary approach.
Don't sleep with your microwave.
Yeah, exactly. Don't sleep. And the thing is that unlike the mobile phone that you talk in, if you've got a cell phone mast outside your bedroom, you're exposed to it 24/7.
Yeah.
So it's about the chronic effects of being exposed to that kind of variable radio frequency, non-ionising radiation.
I'm concerned about the kids who sleep with the phones under the pillow.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Oh, because constantly in contact, texting at 3 a.m. in the morning or whatever, and sleeping with it under the pillow. It's outrageous.
Yeah. I wouldn't advise it.
No, not at all. Hey, the government books are totally screwed, Russell. What's going on?
Well, the government's stimulus package was poorly designed, and so some of the effects of that are that the government's running into more of deficit itself in its own books, and also in terms of the stimulus effect on the economy, it hasn't been very effective. I mean, if you think about the tax cuts, overwhelmingly they went to the upper income earners. 40% of all the tax cut went to the top 10%. 60% of all of it went to the top 20. So the evidence is absolutely overwhelming on this, is that if you want to have a stimulatory effect, you don't give tax cuts to those at the top end because they don't tend to spend them. So the effect of the government's tax cuts were that it cost $14 billion over 4 years, so a huge hole in the government's books. And it hasn't had much of a stimulatory effect because it's gone to those who don't tend to spend it, they tend to more save it. Whereas if you give the money to the unemployed, for example, they tend to spend a lot because they don't really have a choice.
But the government is still spending a whole bunch of money, especially on a project like the Holiday Highway north of Auckland. That's still going ahead.
Yeah, because we live in an insane society and we have an insane government, they've decided to spend all this money on these very large motorway projects, new motorway projects, that have negative economic kind of benefits when they do their own benefit to cost analysis. It's less than one. And that's, and there's petrol, what is it, going towards $2 a litre now?
Yeah, it's going north of that soon.
Yeah, and so the government is insane, and so their response is let's build more motorways.
I want to see you, next question time, get up and say, you're all insane, and then sit back down.
Yeah, it is a kind of, when you think about it, I mean, what's happening with petrol and our response to it is to build more motorways. It's hard to characterise it as anything other than insane. We are an insane society, and the government is insane, and the Ministry of Transport is insane. They are proposing to do the exact opposite to what all of the market signals would say you should do, which would be to look at the alternatives to a petrol-based transport system. And so what it means is that because there's no market-based signal to do this, so what the government has to do is subsidise it, because there's no way you'd ever build this motorway if you did it on a market basis. So instead, because this is basically like a petrol socialist government, we've got to subsidise petrol use, so they build these motorways.
I can already see the opening scene to the movie of your life in the future, and it's opening with kind of like heavy breathing, kind of, and then the camera sort of pans around, and it's you're running alone along this holiday highway north of Auckland. There's no traffic because it's an apocalyptic sort of thing. There is no petrol, and it's you just running along there alone, Russell.
It's I don't know. I find it very strange that the Greens are the minority voice. Like Labor and National are just obsessed with their motorways, and the Greens are this minority voice when it seems this case is so obvious and compelling. Like, there's only so much cheap oil on the planet, guys. Like, it's not unlimited. Are you crazy? You think it's just unlimited? I don't know. Anyway, that's the world we live in.
Certainly is.
It's crazy.
Thanks for summing it up for us this morning, Russell. We'll talk to you next week. Wrap up the year.
Okay.
All right. There is the co-leader of the Greens, Russell Norman.